for joining us, Rick. Really timely as markets keep shifting and opportunities keep emerging.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So with these markets, does diversification today need to be thought about differently, less by asset classes and more about underlying risk exposures?
100%. I mean, the thing that's different than, everybody would like a simple answer to diversification. Interest rates diversify me, gold diversifies me, and the truth is, none of those tools are durable through time. There are different environments where one can work versus another. To me, effective diversification is what is the asset that you're trying to manage the risk around? And quite frankly, I've always found that diversification is, I need to own how much I'm comfortable owning and not worry about how to hedge it. And then I look at what creates balance. And so what are the tools that create balance in portfolio? Like today, I think income is a phenomenal ballast to the portfolio. That gives me diversification, particularly if I can get it in a stable way. So I just don't think, I've always felt like people say you got to hedge your risk. I actually think you should own as much risk as you're comfortable with, and then just create balance. Use the tools that are effective, use the tools that are durable. And then quite frankly, we use a lot of, I think the world of risk management, different metrics, correlation, dispersion, beta. Like I think you have to use all your tools to try and figure out what's really moving, stress testing, scenario analysis, to try and come up with real stability.
So when correlations gets high and diversification gets harder, how do you keep building portfolios that still hold up?
I think the first thing, part of the biggest deal for us is you got to identify the regime you're operating in. Once you know the regime you're operating in, then you can think about, okay, now what do I do with it? So for example, we use in metrics, people talk about VAR or one single number for risk. But what happens is when all of a sudden you get a shock to volatility, all your correlations go to one and then you have a different paradigm. First thing you do is say, okay, I need to manage my risk and I need to cut some of my risk. And so the first thing you do is you cut risk. And then you start to think about, okay, now where's their stability? Now where are we durable? I have found many years of doing this that I like to look at every security, and then every security has a component part to it. Liquidity, beta, dispersion, and then how does it play well with its friends in the sandbox? So what is it doing relative marginal contribution to risk relative to other assets? So we spent a bunch of time thinking through what does that individual asset do? How do I think about that one? And then how does it play in the sandbox with the others? And then you can try and put something together that creates, real stability. I'm really proud of, we don't always get the highest returns. I try, we're striving for that, we try. But I'm very proud of, we've used so many tools to keep stability and to give people something that they're not embarrassed by and say, my God, I didn't expect that. That to me is what you don't, for clients, that is the one thing you really don't want to have, is the big surprise.
So Rick, what are you seeing today investors are doing differently to build more resilient portfolios?
The big thing that I see a bunch of people doing, and which I think makes sense, first of all, you could use things like options. Like, when you do some different asset classes, options can be really effective for I'll own an asset and say, gosh, I'll sell the asset if it gets a certain price. I'll sell a call option. And by the way, it's equities, bonds, rates, currencies. Using that can be really effective. Also, when you reduce your risk, I can sell some downside because my risk is already low and I buy it. So things like the volatility markets are incredibly, I think, inefficient and give you a great way to build alpha into portfolios. The other things that I think are really powerful is this idea to invest globally. You think about, I think a lot of people look at, I've got a traditional asset class. One of the great things about being unconstrained or flexible or globally agnostic is I can say, gosh, emerging markets are really interesting today. Why are emerging markets interesting relative to the high yield market? To me, it's all about finding the best opportunity in the world for currency exposure, rate exposure, credit exposure, and then just try and create balance because, I call it make a little bit of money a lot of times and, be thoughtful about how you scale positions, but create effective diversification because you're picking the best assets around the world without bias or heritage of, I got to own this because I know that asset class better. Pick where you want to be in the world, pick which is going to operate well relative to others, and do it, I think you just do it a billion times. I mean, the law of averages, the law of big numbers works.